If someone that you care about is grieving this time of year, whether that's the death of a person or the loss of a relationship, a diagnosis they just got, or a life that just doesn't look the way they expected, it is, in my humble opinion, a sacred and beautiful act to reach out to them. And one of the most popular mediums for doing that in this day and age is a text message. Hi there, grief growers. I am so honored and grateful to be here with you as always. If you have been growing alongside me for a while, welcome back. And if you are new to me and my work, hello. My name is Shelby Forsythia. I am a grief coach, 2-time, soon to be 3-time author, and the founder of Life After Loss Academy, which is an online course and community that has helped hundreds of grieving people stop feeling lost, stuck, broken, and alone, and start building lives that they genuinely love from the lives that loss forced them to live. Here on Grief Grower, we believe that loss not only includes death-related losses, but also losses like divorce and breakup, major diagnosis, and every single other loss or major transition that changes your life. Here on Grief Grower as well, we know for sure that grief is not something to get over or push through. It is something that we grow with and alongside, and that when we stop treating grief less like a problem to be solved and more like an invitation to live more deeply, we can create meaningful lives that are rich with the memories that we carry and the struggles that we faced and the precious awareness of what it is to be alive right here and right now. I want to say at the very top of the show, thank you so much for your patience as I get this episode up and published. It is backdated in your podcast players to October 9th. So if you're listening to this in the future, you do not know this at all. But if you are listening to it in the present day, you will not hear this until Monday, October 13th. It has been a very, very, very big week in the Forsythia household and my city at large. I learned some wonderful things about my new book, including that my publishers have decided to partner with an audiobook organization to turn Of Course I'm Here Right Now into an audiobook. This was also a week, however, where I was notified by someone in my audience that there is a grief coach in the world who is ripping off my blogs and publishing them as her own. So I have been in contact with lawyer friends and a few other grief coaches to figure out what to do about that. So if you know of anybody else who's ripping off my work and claiming that they wrote it themselves, please let me know. This is becoming more and more prevalent in the age of AI. I have confirmed that this person is a real person, which somehow makes it worse. But it's a thing that sadly is prevalent in the online community. When you put your work out there to be consumed by other people, sometimes it is not only consumed, it is redistributed. So that has been something I've been going through this week. And lastly, this has been a huge, huge week and weekend where ICE's presence in my neighborhood in Chicago has been so loud. Several of my neighbors have been taken by people who are claiming to be part of this organization, but will not show their faces, will not share their names or their badge numbers, who are driving personal vehicles and kidnapping people off of the street. And I am doing everything I can to work a part-time job at a flower shop to do this work as a grief coach and also actively resist, mourn, organize, and take care of the human vessel that is my body, all at the same time. So needless to say, this has been a lot, and thank you for all the grace that you have in the world about the delay in this episode going live. 2 more things I want to share before I get into the meat of this episode, which is all about how to comfort and companion people who are grieving during the holidays, because those things are barreling towards us like a freight train. Before we get into it, 2 ways that you can interact with me live in the very near future. The first is here in Chicago. It is something called the Talk Death Cemetery Scavenger Hunt. It takes place on October 26th, which is a Sunday. This is an event that is happening across the United States in cemeteries across the country, which helps people appreciate and learn about local cemeteries and their histories, and invites you as a grieving person, as a member of your community, to visit the cemetery, to reduce stigma around death, and demonstrate that cemeteries, for as much as they are places for the dead, can also be spaces for the living. You will learn about memorials and history, connect with others in your community, potentially other grievers in your area, and spend time with friends and loved ones while all reflecting on your own mortality. And the Talk Death Scavenger Hunt that is happening in Chicago is happening on October 26th, once again at 1:30 p.m., and is co-hosted by myself, by Angel Luna, who is a co-host of Death and Friends, which is a comedy and history podcast hosted by two people. You will also see Grace Robbins there of Koi Metromania, which is a cemetery education and events platform based here in Chicago, and also Jensen Allen, who is the director of Graceland Cemetery in Arboretum, which is the cemetery where all of this will be taking place in Chicago on the 26th. So if you'd like to meet me there, I will be there as early as like 11:30, noonish or so, because in advance of the scavenger hunt, which officially takes place at 1:30, we're going to be doing cemetery tours. There will be Q&As about death, dying, grief, and grieving, and how cemeteries as community gathering spaces, as institutions, are so important for grief and grieving. And then at 1:30, Talk Death, the large organization and social media platform, will release kind of all at once on their Instagram and their website a list of clues to go hunt for around the cemetery. So it might be, find a headstone where the last name starts with Z, or find a mausoleum that looks like a church, or something of that nature. And there will be prizes awarded for people who take pictures and upload them. And it's a free event. It's a thing to do in Chicago to sort of honor death, grief, and grieving, to honor spooky season, which we are in the midst of right now, and to connect with other people in your area who are death educators, grief educators, and the like. And prizes will be awarded to those whoever finds 13 clues first, the highest number of total clues found, and accolades such as most creative photography. Once again, this is an event that is free and open to the public, so if you're near or around Chicago, I would love to see and meet you in person. And you can register for the event, although registration is not required, at shelbyforsythia.com/events. That is also where you can find the second event that I'm going to be a part of in November. On Friday, November 21st, I will be in LA. So if you are in and around LA, I would love to see you at the Grieftastic Book Fair. It is like your childhood book fair, the Scholastic Book Fair, only sadder. And you can find me and more than 40 other grief authors live at the Lux Hotel in Los Angeles. And this is a one-of-a-kind gathering that is dedicated to grief literacy, community connection, and most of all, books. You will enjoy a day of conversations and panels, one of which I am hosting, immersive experiences, and books galore. And the takeaway tote bags that everyone gets for attending the Grieftastic Book Fair are called Sad Sacks, and I just can't get enough of it. You will find myself, but there you will also find Rachel Cargill, Rebecca Sofer, who we've interviewed here on Grief Grower, David Kessler, a dear friend of mine, Hope Edelman, Jennifer Pasteloff, and of course, yours truly, plus dozens and dozens more authors that are there for you to discover. If you would like to come to the brunch for Grieftastic, which happens before the book fair, that is from 10 to 11:30, and I believe tickets are still available for that. And then the book fair kicks off from noon to 4. And once again, that is in LA. And if you would like to get 15% off your ticket before they sell out, you can find tickets again at shelbyforsythia.com/events. And all proceeds for this event go to an organization called Our House, which is a grief support center that provides services across LA. And I imagine they're doing quite a bit of heavy lifting there, considering the fires earlier this year, the ICE presence that is there right now has been there previously, and all the other griefs that people are experiencing right now in Los Angeles. And if you are going to the Endwell conference in November, which is the day before, on November 20th, you can also use one of my codes to save 15% on your ticket. And you can find all of that information at shelbyforsythia.com/events. So I'll be in LA from November 20th to 21st if you want to hang out in person at Endwell or at the Grieftastic Book Fair. And you can also come find me in a couple of weeks here in October, walking around a cemetery, taking photos, trying to win some prizes, and talking about death and dying and the importance of cemeteries for your grief. And for both of these events, I would love to see you there. Please do not be afraid of coming up to me and saying hi. I'd love to sign your book. I'd love to hear your grief story. I would love to be in your physical presence, because I know that so much of the work we do here on Grief Grower and in Life After Loss Academy and every other workshop and sort of presentation that I teach, so much of the work I do is digital, and it is so special to be able to be with you, as the kids say, IRL, in real life. Okay, I want to get into the meat of this episode, and this is the third installment in our Supporting Someone series, which is all sort of building up in the release of my new book. Of course, I'm here right now, 3 actually helpful things to say to someone grieving, and this is specifically oriented towards the holidays because, like I said, the holidays are coming towards us faster than they seem to have before. Time seems to be moving so quickly these days, and one of the best ways that you can support someone grieving in your midst, whether they are a member of your own family or a friend or somebody who also knew the person who died or a coworker, or if you're a grief practitioner and you are supporting clients or students or workshop participants in your midst, these are messages that you can send to them or sort of acknowledgments you can send in their direction, whether through text message or in session, frankly, that help people feel comforted and seen and supported amidst the holiday season. And I want to reiterate that if you are a grieving person, you are never weird or abnormal or crazy for thinking about the holidays, quote unquote, too soon. If you see me here on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes, too soon. There's no such thing as too soon. Grieving people will often brace for the holidays or the holiday season, just like they brace for death anniversaries, birthdays, other big significant dates in their grief season. And for myself, my mom died the day after Christmas. The holiday season is kind of rife with grief dates, but it's also just the holiday season. And so there's a lot of emotional landmines that take up the space of my calendar. This is a season of my life you may have heard me talk about on previous podcast episodes that I refer to as the tilt, where kind of like a roller coaster tilting over the precipice of a very steep drop, there is this unavoidable and emotional path ahead. I have to go through it. There's no choice. There's no getting over it, around it. There's no stopping the roller coaster. You will have a holiday season, whether you like it or not. And from Thanksgiving to New Year's or Halloween to New Year's, every grocery store jingle or festive dinner invitation or cheerful commercial can feel like an ambush of grief. So if someone that you care about is grieving this time of year, once again, whether that's the death of a person or the loss of a relationship, a diagnosis they just got, or a life that just doesn't look the way they expected, it is, in my humble opinion, a sacred and beautiful act to reach out to them. And one of the most popular mediums for doing that in this day and age is a text message. People read text so often. A lot of people don't respond to phone calls these days. Email inboxes are tricky to get to people in or access them amidst all the coupons and the sales and the things that they're subscribed to. Text messages are wonderful ways to be a supporter to someone who is grieving, because you do not need to overthink it. You do not need like a block of text to meaningfully fill up space. You don't have to think of what to write in a sympathy card. You don't even need a reply, frankly. All you need in sending a text to a grieving person is a willingness to witness their pain without trying to fix it or make it go away. And this episode is 12 simple texts that are grouped into 3 categories inspired by my book that reflect what grieving people tell me they need the most. They go like this. Number 1, category 1, is validating texts. Validating your pain and grief is real. I see it with my eyes, or I know it with my spirit. Number 2 is presence without the pressure to be different. So companionship, witnessing, accompanying, all these words we talk about to come alongside grieving people without rushing them to hurry up. And the last one, number 3, is gentle and indirect reminders that life won't always feel like this, because you can't just go up to a griever or text a griever and say it won't always be this way, because that feels trite and like ignoring of the pain that they're currently in. But to say something like, and we'll get to this, in this season or right now, I can see how X or Y is true. What that time-oriented language does is implies, whether your griever knows it or not, that one day things will be different than they are right now. And of course, as I mentioned, these 3 categories are all inspired by my book, Of Course I'm Here Right Now. 3 actually helpful things to say to someone grieving. So if you are super interested in what I'm talking about through this episode, if you want even more language for supporting someone in your life who is grieving, even if that person is you, be sure to pre-order it, and you can find a link to do that in the show notes. Okay, let's start with category 1, and this is text messages that validate pain and grief. This is the of course section of texts, because grief can feel overwhelming, and overwhelm just like grows. It intensifies, it gets bigger, it almost grows legs around the holidays when there is this pressure to put on a happy face for the sake of being festive or being cheerful or being merry or being part of the holiday. And so these text messages normalize, the ache of grief, the fact that grief exists, and offer permission for your grieving person to feel exactly how they're feeling. They are a much, much needed alternative to things like, it gets better, or everything happens for a reason, or just find your silver lining, which often leaves grieving people feeling dismissed or rushed through emotions, or like a total erasure of their grief. And ultimately, these messages say, of course this time of year is hard, and it makes sense that you feel what you feel. So the first text I'll share with you is, of course this is hard. The holidays magnify everything. This text message reminds me of a common phrase that people use in grief, of grief makes you more of who you are. So if you're anxious before loss, you become more anxious in grief. If you're controlling, you become more controlling. If you're grateful, you might become more grateful as a result of grief. And the holidays are kind of similar. I notice that we become more of ourselves during the holidays. And so if you become more of yourself while grieving and more of yourself during the holidays, it's like everything ratchets up. The intensity of everything, the volume dials are just pushed as high as they can possibly go. And the lights are brighter, the silence is louder, the absence of what used to be is bigger. All of its muchness is amplified. And so by texting, of course this is hard. The holidays magnify everything. You are letting your grieving friend know that their overwhelm and exhaustion and sensitivity to the muchness is not all in their head, which is a thing that grieving people are often told, it's just all in your head. Things are actually harder right now. And that's a very, very kind thing to say to someone who's grieving. Number 2, whatever you're feeling this week, rage, relief, numbness, sadness, it all makes sense to me. And this is helpful because many grieving people experience a mix of emotions, including some that they do not feel allowed to have, things like anger or apathy or numbness, or even moments of joy. And so this text message validates the full emotional spectrum. Insert emotions of your choice here. Make sure some are quote positive, some are quote negative, rage, relief, numbness, sadness, and just kind of indicating to your griever, it turns a little light on that says, I'm here for every single emotion that you have. Okay, number 3. I imagine this season might feel extra tender. If you're not feeling very merry and bright, that's okay with me. And this gives your grieving person permission to opt out of the forced cheerfulness that is often like, I don't know, painted over or like resined over everybody around the holiday season, this expectation that things be okay and we be happy and fine. And it is uber helpful if you have insider information that they are being bombarded by invitations from friends and family who want them to perform happiness for the sake of other people. So if you know that your grieving person has a holiday party that for whatever reason they can't get out of, or they're taking the kids ice skating with the in-laws and the in-laws are just insufferable when it comes to grief, this is a great text to send their way of like, this season, this event might feel extra tender. If you're not feeling merry and bright, that is okay. Even if you are the only person who kind of holds that pocket of validation or space for them, it's better than nothing. This is also a great text message to send to parents or caregivers who feel pressure to be strong during the holidays or to create holiday magic for their families. A lot of parents and caregivers are like, I cannot collapse. I cannot show my grief. I cannot, appear broken because I am responsible for others' happiness and joy. And a lot of times having somebody pop into their text message inbox and say, I imagine this is really hard. If you're not merry and bright, that's okay. You might be the only person in their life giving them that permission slip to like have a hard holiday and allow that to be real, even if they continue with putting the facade on and doing things for their kids or other family members that they feel they need to do to make a good holiday. You can still be a person who holds that validating space for them. And I know some of your ears perked up when I used the phrase, I imagine, and you can check out, I don't remember what episode it is of Grief Growers, but it's basically, I can't imagine what you're going through is not helpful. Here's why. And why it actually is helpful to use the phrase, I imagine that this time of year is hard for you, or that this season feels extra tender. Trying to imagine or put yourself in the shoes of people who are grieving, even though you cannot 100% know their experience, is often a lot more helpful than saying, oh, I can't imagine what you're going through, because that creates distance. And so to say, I imagine this season's kind of rough, is really helpful when you're grieving, because it's like someone's looking at me and understanding that this is not going to be an easy time for me. Okay, number 4, the end one of our first 4 of validating texts. I know this season is full of memories and reminders of what used to be or could have been. It's not just one loss. It is every version of life you hoped would be happening right now. And this text message, oh, dear grief growers, is particularly resonant for people who are navigating divorce or estrangement or infertility or chronic illness or political violence. It honors that grief is not always about a person. It is also about the life that should have been, but for whatever reason did not get to happen. So to say this season is full of memories and reminders of what used to be or what was taken away from you, it's not just the thing that was taken, it is every version of life that was supposed to come along with that, is such a validating thing for grieving people to hear. And I guarantee that unless another person in their midst listens to this podcast, no one else is sending that message in their direction right now. So if you can be that person to someone in your family, friend group, co-worker, professional practice, if you're allowed to send text or private messages as a part of your job, this is a phenomenal way to say, I know this holiday season does not look like what you thought it would, and I'm here for that. I'm standing by. Speaking of standing by, let's move into second section, which are text messages that provide presence without pressure. Again, the witnessing, the accompanying, things that we talk about with grieving people all the time is how do you stand by or companion a grieving person without trying to fix anything or without needing them to reply to you and give you a whole life update. These are messages that offer presence, which grieving people consistently say is a thing that they want the most. They want this sort of compassionate witnessing without the added pressure to be better or happier or different than they are. And they are different from messages that are just like, thinking of you, or let me know if you need anything, because while these are well intended, these often place the burden back onto grieving people to reach out or to translate the fact that you care into actually feeling supported. So these 4 messages say, I'm not afraid to be with you in your grief, and I'm going to keep showing up. That's a great text message. There's a bonus one for you. I'm not afraid to be with you in your grief, and I'll just keep showing up. That's a great one to send. That's an add-on for you. Okay, so here's number 1 in this section. No need to respond. Just wanted you to know I'm thinking of you and your grief today. This is very short, but it is one of my all-time favorite texts to receive, and I received it a lot from one particular friend named Emily after my best friend Tammy died. And I write about it in my book, Of Course I'm Here Right Now. It is the opening story in the I'm Here section. And my dear friend Emily sent me messages like this for months, and she never expected a reply. She just quietly reached out through the fog of grief over and over and over again. It was like, I haven't forgotten about you. That kind of quiet consistency is really rare. It's something a lot of people sort of drop off in the aftermath of loss, and it is also unforgettable. I have forgotten a lot of people who showed up for me in the early months, but I have not forgotten about Emily. And as the person who is sending this message, as the supporter of a griever, this might seem very small, like almost nothing. But to the person who is receiving the message, it means so much. So if you send no other message from this list during the holiday season, send this one before you send anything else. Okay, number 2 in this section is another one of my favorites. I have not forgotten the fact that you're grieving, insert loss here, this holiday season. So I have not forgotten the fact that you're grieving your dad this holiday season. Or I have not forgotten the fact that you're grieving that a relative was kidnapped by ICE this holiday season. I have not forgotten the fact that you're going through a divorce this holiday season. I have not forgotten the fact that you got diagnosed with cancer and this is your first holiday season with that diagnosis. This is a simple and direct and honest and present message. It acknowledges exactly, with a very fine point on it, what your griever is mourning, and reminds them that they are not forgotten in their grief. And in a world that preaches move on and get over it, this sort of sentiment feels like a blessing. And someone else, you, the supporter, remembers your grieving person's pain, as well as the fact that this holiday season is likely very saturated with grief and reminders of grief. Third one in this section. If you want company to cry or watch garbage TV or walk around the park, I am game. This text is an offer to spend time together, so it takes the words and then goes one step further, if you have the time, energy, bandwidth to do so, but it is full of small and realistic options with no pressure. I'm game for that if you want to do that. It's not, I bought tickets for this thing, or you have to wear this, these itchy tights, whatever the case may be. Itchy tights are one of my least favorite things to wear, which is why that popped into my brain first. Or it's you must do this and drive to this place, whatever. It's like, if you want to cry, if you want to watch garbage TV, if you want to walk around the park, I'm game. These are non-time limited, non-ticketed, non-dress code for the most part events. So for your grieving person uniquely, be sure to substitute your own options, specifically if you are supporting someone long distance. So if you're supporting someone long distance, you might text something like, If you want me to stay on the phone with you while you wrap presents, or if you want me to be like a secret out for you to leave a holiday party, if you want me to like text you at 8:20 and be like, how's it going? And you can pretend an emergency happened and leave, those are offers you can make from a distance. Regardless, this text message is one that makes it clear that you are a welcome place for the messiness of grief and that your friend does not need to clean up their emotions or their house for you. They do not need to wear certain clothes. They do not need to present a certain way. You can do all the things that you normally do together, watch garbage TV, walk around the park, cry together on the couch while eating ice cream during the holiday season. The holidays does not change the fact that you are interested in spending time with this person while they are grieving. And last one, number 4 here is, hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but it's the holidays and grief can be loud this time of year. Ignore me if you need to, but I'll check on you same time next week. This is one I wrote specifically if you are one of the supporters who dropped off after the funeral, or after the divorce was final, or after the first news of the diagnosis came out. Because my grieving clients and students in Life After Loss Academy often say people stop showing up after a few months. This message is the antidote to that. You are promising to check in again, and please do, removing the pressure to reply and showing up with steadiness instead of silence. Especially if you have not reached out to a grieving person in a long time, the holidays are a really good time to begin again. And so if you're like, I haven't talked to them in forever and it would be awkward to reopen conversation, and you're kind of like spiraling the story in your head of like, they're going to ignore me, they're going to be mad at me, reaching out and saying, hey, it's the holidays, I know we haven't talked in a minute. That's on me. If you want to add that, that's on me for not reaching out, but saying, I know the holidays are loud, I'm thinking of you, I'll check in same time next week, and set a reminder to do so. You can remend the bridge of a relationship with that one simple text, and then continuing to follow up over and over and over again. And something that I write about in my second book, Your Grief Your Way, is especially if you are supporting a grieving person, keep issuing invitations to connect. Not always invitations to spend time together, because that can be a big tax on a grieving person of like, you know, what day are you coming over and drop off groceries and buy tickets for this thing, you have to show up at a certain time, dress a certain way. That can be a lot of logistics for a grieving brain. But to keep issuing invitations to connect, to say no need to respond or ignore me if that feels better, or I'll keep checking in next week. But continuing to issue invitations, because especially in the early days of grief, there's so much sad administration that grievers are often doing, paperwork, emotional caretaking, potentially caring for their bodies and their spirits as well. A lot of the invitations stop coming after 6 months or a year. And the assumption that grievers have as well, people think I'm broken now that I'm grieving and no one wants to spend time with me anymore. But what's really happened is a lot of supporters of grievers have gotten the message from the grievers like, well, they don't want to spend time with me because they're busy grieving. But what needs to happen, and what I urge grievers to do in Your Grief Your Way, is to ask friends and family to keep inviting me to things, because one day I'll be able to say yes. It's not right now, and I really can't spare, you know, an afternoon to do this, or a morning to do that, or an evening on a weekend to do XYZ, but please keep asking, because one day I will say yes. And so as the supporter and the person who's not directly in the center of grief, we talked about ring theory a few episodes ago on when we talked about illustrations and metaphors that are really helpful for grief. If you are not in the dead center, pun not intended, but now intended. If you're not dead center in the middle of that ring, the person who's directly experiencing the loss, if you're a few rungs out, see if you can build up your invitation tolerance and keep issuing invitations to grieving people to spend time together or connect or check in. Once a week, once a month, however, whatever feels like a good cadence to you, see if you can go longer. Let them be the ones to reject you, as opposed to you making the assumption that your grieving person just does not want to spend time with you because they're too busy grieving. Because one of the biggest things that clients and students say to me, and that I experienced myself after the death of my mother and the death of my best friend from COVID, is that people stopped reaching out after like a month or two. And I was really not ready to see people again or connect in a meaningful way, but it got really lonely at 6 months and after, because all the support that I had at the beginning just faded away. And I was like, where did everybody go? And it felt like, I don't know if this is 100% true, but it felt like people just got tired of issuing invitations. And what I really needed was, yes, invitations, but with a delay, with a 6-month delay, with a year delay of like, the year anniversary is past. Now I really want to tell stories about her. Now I have the bandwidth to put on clothes and meet you at the park or go for coffee or whatever the case may be. But see if, as a supporter, this is an invitation to you, and I'm kind of taking a rabbit hole tangent here, but see if you can build up your tolerance to sending invitations, because grieving people do like to receive them. They just can't always say yes, especially early in grief. So see if you can sort of out invite them, if you can keep inviting them to things. and waiting and standing by for them to say yes. Always light touch, always no pressure, always it's okay to cancel or flake out on me, or I just want to hear from you via text, let me know if you're good. It's never, we need to fly across the country for this big vacation, what have you. Like, don't make the invitations extensive, but just continue to make them. And I know so many grieving people worldwide would appreciate the fact that you have enough care for them to do something like that. Okay, I'm coming off of my my invitation soapbox now, and let's go to section 3, which are text messages that offer gentle yet indirect hope that things will not always be or feel this hard. And what I love about this section of 4 text messages is that they don't minimize grief or skip ahead to a silver lining, but what they do is place like a cushion, a little surrounding cushion around the pain of grief and say, yes, you feel this now. I see you, I validate you, and it will not feel like this forever. You're not saying, you'll be fine. And you're not saying, look on the bright side, you have so much to be grateful for. And there's a very big difference in that. So here's the first one in this section. You don't have to feel festive. You don't have to feel anything. Just get through this day, hour by hour if you need to. And this is a supremely survival-oriented message that lowers the bar from merry and bright to still breathing. And it is one of the most compassionate things you can say, and extra helpful if there's a big event like a work party or a holiday gathering. You know your grieving person has no choice but to attend. And bonus points if you go back to the second section and follow up with them. Extend an invitation to connect in a day or a week to see how they're doing. And I say connect, you can connect over a text, you can connect over a phone call, you can connect in person, whatever they have the bandwidth for. That's what you can tailor your invitation to at this time. Okay, second one in this section. Right now, it's okay to feel small joy instead of big joy. I hope today brings you one good thing, whether that's a nap with the cat, a positive memory, or finding a coin on the ground. And I wrote this text because grief is all-consuming, and many grievers struggle with this belief that the pain will be exactly like this forever and ever. And this is specifically true for death-related losses, where a person or a pet is in fact gone forever and ever. This text creates space for small moments of comfort, small joys, without expecting your grieving friend to be 100% okay right now. And it is also a gentle way of reminding them that good can still exist even in hard seasons. And I encourage you a lot to customize this text with 2 or 3 things that you know feel good to them. So maybe they don't have a cat to take a nap with, or maybe finding coins on the ground is not anything that means anything to them. I put examples that mean something to me. I would love to take a nap with the cat during the holidays. I would love to have a positive memory of my mom or my friend that I didn't remember that I remembered. And I love finding coins on the ground. Those are significant things to me. But if you know they would love a good cup of coffee, or someone to hold the door for them, or I don't know, someone to pay it forward at the gas station, whatever the case may be, whatever feels, you know them, you know your grieving person, whatever would feel comforting to them, substitute those. It's okay to feel small joy instead of big joy. I hope you experience something good today. I wish good things for you. 1, 2, or 3. I'm thinking of you. That's a great message to send to a grieving person. Okay, number 3 in this section, you don't have to figure out how to get through all of the holidays for the rest of your life. You just have to get through this holiday in this season. Our job is to tend to what hurts right now, and we can worry about next year. This message is super duper grounding for people in active crisis or recent loss. I'm thinking recent deaths, new diagnoses, fresh breakups, estrangement, identity shifts. It reminds them, kind of by pulling little anchors to the ground, that healing does not and cannot happen all at once. It happens in pieces over time. And it's also a reminder that it's okay to scale down the scope of grief, all the grief for the rest of my life, all the time, to this holiday, in this season, instead of looking ahead to the entire rest of their life. And another thing that I love about it, and I did this on purpose, I didn't say in this season, your job is to tend to what hurts right now. It is in this season, our job is to tend to what hurts right now. We can worry about next year. It is this subtle implication that in the midst of all of this, it goes back to the second section, which is inspired by I'm here. I will not abandon you. The work of healing from grieving is a group effort. You do it yourself, but you do not have to do it alone. And that I will still be here this time next year. We can worry about next year. Big, big, big deal. to someone who's grieving? Do you see how subtle language shifts? This is the whole premise of Course I'm Here Right Now. Subtle shifts in your language. Reassure grieving people that they are not alone, that this will not last forever, and that you can companion them in their grief and validate that their pain exists, and that you are not going to forget about their loss. You are not going to abandon them this time next year, and that it is okay to scale down what their eyes see. Grief can just be this moment instead of trying to figure out or sort out or make a plan for grieving the entire rest of their lives. That's a big deal when you're grieving. I just gotta say, it gives me chills to think about. Okay, let's do the last one in this section, then we'll wrap up this episode. I know this is a bit of a long one. Thanks for bearing with me. Number 4. You can skip the holiday cards, the group text, the New Year's resolutions this year. None of it is mandatory. It's okay to take a break from this holiday season if that feels good. And this is, I'm ending on a permission slip. It is one that subtly points out that most holiday traditions are not required reading. They are not required activities. It names out loud this pressure that many grieving people feel to keep up appearances or do what they've done in years past, and gently say, it's okay to do you this year. The holidays will come and go. You are on the roller coaster going down the hill. You are experiencing the tilt. You are in it. But you do not have to add on to your plate by tacking on New Year's resolutions, stringing up the lights, writing holiday cards, taking a photo of the whole family and writing a newsletter to go with it. Why do we do this? It's okay to not attend that party or to wear that sweater or to bake things for that cookie swap. Like, it is okay to opt out of certain activities. And you can also say, just for this year, just for this season, just for the time being, just on weekends, whatever prepositional phrase gives you a bit of an out. It's another way language is helpful. In this season, or just this year, you can figure out how to do the holidays next year, when they get here. But for this year, it truly is. Holiday activities are mandatory. Do what you want to honor your grief and to tend to yourself. Beyond that, it's okay to skip it. And to be a voice of permission, whether you are in their family group or friend group or coworker group or a professional. That is a wonderful thing to offer a grieving person, especially around the holidays. Truly any time of year. Like, kind of most things are not required. I think, like, yeah, you got to pay your taxes. Yeah, you have to keep a roof over your head. Yes, you have to feed yourself and your family. A lot of other things in life that we assume are required are not. I'm going to tell one more story and then we'll close out this episode. I worked with a student once in Life After Loss Academy who truly and genuinely had a revelation one live coaching session because she assumed and put this pressure on herself of, for holiday parties, if I say yes to the invitation, it means I stay the whole time. That's just what you do. It's just a polite thing to do. She was raised in the Midwest. She was probably in her mid-50s. She was grieving the death of her son. And she's like, it never occurred to me that I could say yes, but then leave within the first 10 minutes. Or do a lap around the room and then claim to have another party to go to, or a chore to do, or an errand to run, or an emergency to tend to, and just say my goodbyes and bow out. It truly never occurred to me that I could make an appearance and then bounce. I thought saying yes to a party was saying yes to 3.5 hours of talking and drinking and people asking me questions about my life that I may or may not want to answer, and trying to figure out where my grief fits in a room full of happy people. And when we relayed that to her, myself and the other students in Life After Loss Academy, of like, you can say yes, but you also can leave early, especially if you drove yourself there or have Lyft or other rideshare services that can take you home, or a DD, whatever the case may be. If you got wheels to go home, yeah. She's like, I don't want to miss the party, but I have no bandwidth. I have no capacity to stay for 3.5 hours. And we were like, guess what? You don't have to. And that was truly game-changing for her grief. And I know that she took that lesson into other elements as well. I can go to my friend's son's graduation party and stay for 10 minutes. I can congratulate him, give him his gift, and as soon as the grief hits that my son should have been graduating too, I can leave. And we simply do not have enough places in our society that gives people permission to opt out of these non-mandatory experiences, or even challenges the belief that all of these holiday traditions, all of these parties, all of these social gatherings are mandatory. It's a real revelation to send a text that says, you can skip doing holiday cards, you can skip the group text, you can opt out of New Year's resolutions this year, none of it is required. It's okay to take a break from the holiday season if that feels good. You will go through the holidays because we all must. But you decide how much more effort you exert into that process. And I support you in that. What a tremendous gift to give to a grieving person. And what I want to say before we sign off today is that a little text truly does go a long way. Every single one of these 12 messages, plus the bonus one, does what so few people are willing to do after loss. They tell the truth, they state reality, they make space for grief to show up, and they offer presence without pressure to be anything other than what you already are right now. I will say that there is no perfect message that will solve or fix anything, but if you're listening to Grief Grower, that's not the point. All of these messages are better than clichés. They do not erase pain, because that's not possible, but they do come alongside it. They do not rush healing or force it, but they honor it. They honor the fact that healing is in progress for the grieving person that you are in touch with this holiday season. So instead of maybe your usual, let me know if you need anything, or just stay busy, or time heals all, or look on the bright side, or there's a silver lining to all of this, or don't you feel their presence? I do. Try. Of course, this is hard. That makes sense to me. No need to respond. Just thinking of you. I haven't forgotten the fact that you're grieving. Or in this season, it's okay to take care of you and your grief. And nothing about the holidays, other than the fact that you must live through the days, is mandatory. This season might be full of broken traditions and tender days and heartbreaking reminders for the grieving person that you care about. But your text message, this tiny little set of words on a screen, these 2 sentences in their inbox, is a thread of connection. And it is something that can help them feel more tethered to the world at a time when it's really easy to feel alone and abandoned and adrift. So my invitation to you, because I will not stop issuing invitations either, is to go ahead and send the text. It is not too early. We're at October 13th right now. It is not too early to send a text about the holidays, especially for my Canadian folks who are celebrating Thanksgiving today in Canada, Indigenous Peoples Day as well. Then, after you send the text today, maybe send another one next week. And let me know how it goes. Let me know how it goes. And if you would like more tips on comforting someone who is grieving, both during the holidays and all year, I super encourage you to pre-order my book, Of Course I'm Here Right Now. This is a short guidebook, full, like chock full, of practical scripts for supporting someone who is grieving using words as your most free, most accessible tool. Because in a world where we are often too busy or frankly too broke to coordinate casserole drop-offs or help a griever get financially back on their feet, language, words are the best free way to connect and show care and comfort, whether you are doing that in person, IRL, or from a distance, over text message, over email, over Skype, over FaceTime. Words are our most powerful tool for companioning people who are grieving in our lives, whether we are their friends, their family members, their coworkers, their spiritual teachers, their grief practitioners, or just their neighbors. There are grieving people in your midst. Do you want to know what to say to them? Get this book. You will find example text messages like these, as well as so many other scripts that you can use to support and companion and comfort the grieving people in your midst. That's all for this episode of Grief Grower. If you're looking for grief support beyond this show, you can find free workshops, blog articles, and my signature What's Your Grief Support Style quiz at shelbyforsythia.com/links. If you'd like to get support from me for your unique loss experience, join us in Life After Loss Academy, which is my online course and community. As a student, I'll walk you through my 5-step grief framework, GRIEF, for rebuilding life after loss, and you can get live coaching from me every single week to answer your questions, and replays are always available if you can't attend live. It is just $33 a month to join, or $22 a month if you're a marginalized or financially stressed griever, and you are in total control of your membership and can cancel at any time. If this podcast felt validating, comforting, educational, or otherwise helpful to you in grief, please subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And be sure to share Grief Grower with a friend, because you never know what someone you love is going through. Grief Growers, hosted by me, Shelby Forsythia, with music by Addie Goldstein. Until next time, Grief Growers, I see you. I am so proud of you and the work that you're doing in the world. And I love you. Because even through grief, we are growing.